All right, welcome to another episode of GlideChat. My name is Michael Lombardo. Sitting with me is Mike McShane from ServiceNow. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, Mike?
Not too bad. We got the best name in the whole world. How can we complain?
I was gonna say, anytime I can have a meeting with two mics on, especially with you, it's a great day.
Do you care if people call you Michael or Mike or like are you one of those?
Yeah, actually, I do.
You're a Mike guy. You're a soul Mike
So
guy.
I am, and the reason being, and maybe
Okay.
Lombardo, maybe you agree or not, but like, so Michael, there's two people in this world that call me Michael, and they're both women,
Yep.
and one is my mother,
Yep.
and the other one is my wife. And
Oh,
if I'm
that is a
usually
good
going
reason.
sideways if they're
That
calling me
is
Michael.
That is a good reason. Okay, so I like that. All right. Thank you for, all the support you've given GlideFast over the years. Why don't we tell our audience a little bit about your role
Yeah.
at ServiceNow?
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. So yeah, I've been in ServiceNow comp on 4 years.
Wow.
So right now I currently lead what we call our regional partner managers for U.S. enterprise and commercial. So I'm part of the ACE organization, Alliance Channel Ecosystems. So part of my role, if I just net it out, is to accelerate the ability of our partners like GlideFast and our sellers to show up at a unified front at the customer's doorstep, arm in arm. It's a phenomenal role. I get to work with you, which is even better, and I have a phenomenal team to help support our customer success initiatives together.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Mike, like you really leaned in with us. Like, hey, we had this mission of, leveraging more of GlideFast and Apex to drive ACV. You really leaned in with us, and we got some results. It took us a little bit, but we
Yeah.
got some results, and we're taking what we kind of built together and bringing it to other territories. So I really appreciate you, because I think a lot of times it's very easy to just get, caught up in the day to day and not, necessarily go above and beyond. And you've really been one partner for us that really has like, hey, let's push this thing to the limit. Let's just not accept status quo. And that's what GlideFast is all about. So we really appreciate that.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Mike, and the whole GlideFast team. And I'll tell you this, when I came on board, going back to when I started, one of the things that drew me to come into ServiceNow, really coming in the partner ecosystem in terms of you leaning in. And I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
as we continue to grow in this rocket ship and providing outstanding results to not only our partners, but our customers,
Yeah.
I could say that GlideFast, especially as of late, you're always in market.
Yeah.
Super important. You're
Yeah.
always showing up. You're always building relationships with our field sales teams.
Yeah.
And people work with people, right? The key to
Yep.
anything in life is building those strong relationships. And it's a testament to the people that you have out there working with customers as well as the ServiceNow sellers. I can give examples too. I can go, down the
No,
list.
thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I think half the battle in anything is showing up. Having the expertise obviously is crucial, but just having the talent is only half the battle. You got to show up, you got to work hard, and it's got to be consistent. I think that's one thing we do really well is just consistently, delivering, working hard, and delivering for customers.
I'll tell you this, just in terms of the demands of our customers, our joint customers,
Yeah.
and the speed in which we're changing, it's not easy for any partner to
No.
keep up, right? And I don't know how you do it, but you continue to do it day in and day out, especially as we make changes and enhance our partner program, which is to benefit not only our customers but our partners. I can only imagine how full your plate is with not
We love
only.
the changes. We love it. We love it. We embrace it. So,
Yeah.
Mike, how did you get to ServiceNow? Like, where were you maybe before ServiceNow, and how'd you make the move?
Interesting story. So I was at Cisco Systems for just under 9 years, about 9 years, and
Yeah.
all my life I've been in my professional life. It's been more in sales. So at Cisco for about 6 years, I was in sales. And then I really wanted to get in front of our partner ecosystem there because it really felt like partners and our sellers are misunderstood. So got the opportunity at Cisco to lead a couple of our key partnerships in that relationship. So, I did that for about 2.5 years. And then ServiceNow came a knocking. And it was, hey, we're looking to really build out our partner go-to-market strategy and strengthen it in a particular area within the central commercial business. So the challenge was accepted. And so that's how I came into ServiceNow. covering the central commercial market. And when I came on board, Mike, it's one of those things where you don't know how much you know until you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm a builder by nature. I'm an entrepreneurial minded individual. And I just saw what a great opportunity we had in terms of just building the mechanics and how we can sell better together.
Yeah.
Our solutions. I mean, that's just the net of it. So I did that, and I did that for about 2 years. And the opportunity came as we continue to grow to take on a director role, and I got promoted to lead the regional partner manager. That's what we call them, across the commercial business, as well as sharing that leadership responsibility for U.S. enterprise as well.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's quite. I actually didn't know that journey. I started in this space a dozen years ago as a customer. I became a partner 10 years ago, right? And I'll tell you, the program has significantly improved over the years because, just frankly, like, ServiceNow was like startup, and, how do we do some of this? How does maybe, I don't know this, but maybe you look at like, how does Microsoft do it? How does Salesforce do it? This is all I knew. So like I heard like, people saying like, oh, Microsoft does it better or whatever. And I'll tell you, like, from day one, I've always loved being a ServiceNow partner. I've always felt supported. But definitely I've seen improvements over the years. And I think part of that is getting great leaders and promoting the right people. Erica coming in, and the work Parsons done, and Torciello, and you and Chad, and I just love working with issues come up, and we've always been very self-sufficient, so we've never really sat there with our hand out kind of thing. But when issues do come up, they get solved, and it's not just there's nothing I hate more than sweeping problems under the rug. And the partner organization seems to really always embrace us. We have issues, they get resolved. And that's the most important thing for a partner.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. And it's so funny, the perspective. So Mike, I came here with 10,000 employees.
Yeah. Wow.
So now we're sitting here at, I think we're just under 25. And it's one thing. And I've seen the changes in our partner program.
Yeah,
it's amazing. You've seen it more than I have, but it's funny. So Erica sends out a newsletter like monthly, and just today, one of her things that you just brought up is her coming in terms of being an innovator. She's always focused on innovation and change.
Yeah,
and it's like a different chapter. You know what I mean? In your journey, I'm sure even at GlideFast, starting a dozen years ago. Every year is a different journey, and I'm excited not only for what we've done this year, because there's a lot that happened in 23. The partner program changes.
So much.
Yeah, we're asking you to do things differently. And partners in general, candidly, they're turning the corner fast. They're all in. But I mean, with Apex and your team, like I said, showing up at the ground level, smiling. You're always smiling, man. I don't know.
Trying. If I'm not smiling, what am I doing? What was that like transitioning from like a sales role to more of supporting sales? Because that, do you still get that chase feeling? I mean, I know some of the initiative we worked on, I could see that. Now that you say you're in sales, I could see, because you have that chase, but because there's nothing better than closing a deal, right? So I did.
You're making my hair stand up. And I just had this conversation with a peer that I just met for the first time. Yeah. So Mike, the biggest transition I had from going from an individual contributor carrying a bag, like even before Cisco, I was 12 years in the field solution selling outside of the industry. So that's all I knew. So when I went into sort of this partner role, we'll just call it, even at Cisco, and you asked a very pointed question. Yeah. The biggest hurdle, it was such a change, was that feeling of the win, that chase. Man, you put the work in, you're the orchestrator, you're the quarterback. That took me a good year to sort of, but here's what I learned. And this is super, I think, important for me in my professional career.
Yep.
When I moved out of the individual contributor role, which a super strong culture where I was at, and I went into the partner organization, it redefined and solidified what the word teamwork means.
Yes.
That was something I never I understood it, but in the channel organization, and it's no truer today than it back then it was today, even here at ServiceNow. There's nothing that our team doesn't do together. It's very collaborative. So now It's the chase. I got to find it by being creative. How do we work with, like GlideFast and working with Apex, and how do we get those new wins and those lands and seeing you uncover those new opportunities? That's what I get the feel of, but I still, man, you don't lose that. You know that.
Oh yeah, no, and it's funny because like as you're saying this, I'm like, wait a minute, I've kind of transitioned, obviously, from that too, and yeah, like I get my gratification from I get seeing others succeed, right? But it's GlideFast winning, it's ServiceNow winning. It's not me getting that signature necessarily, but it's our team getting that, and yeah, that's interesting. It's funny. Even as I'm asking the question, I didn't realize like, yeah, it's kind of the same transition I went through. And, I think it makes me a better leader that I still want that signature. I still want to get that win. I still want to provide that solution. I still want to solve that problem, but I'm doing it in a different way, not hands-on as a team.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
got
very
a comment on that since we're talking about just the career and the journey and the
yeah.
revelation. So when I was going for my first job out of college, I was in an interview, my first interview, and it was going for Quaker Oats. I was going to work at Quaker Oats, which is now owned by Pepsi.
Yeah.
And they ask you questions and you're out of college and you can't put your finger on some things. And the guy goes, "You have a passion for other people's success." And when I was that young, I'm like,
Wow.
generally, I do. And that has stuck with me. And if you looked at my LinkedIn profile, that is a cornerstone of how I live my life. It's just, I'm always focused on, even as a seller, like I talk to customers, like, no. How are you graded and measured on success? Because that is what I also want to focus on. Customers looking at me like, really? I'm like, yeah, because I want to know what it is you're focused on and what you're trying to achieve, because it helps me, obviously look out for not only your organizational success, but also your success. And I've carried that through my whole mantra and my sales ability, but also in leadership as well.
That's phenomenal. And like I said, like you really leaned in with that. Like, I'm kind of curious, like what made you like lean in with us when we said we wanted to drive ACV. We just went through this acquisition. There's 700 sellers that can help us, break into some of these accounts. What made you kind of like say, I'm going to take a chance on GlideFast. I'm going to lean in, try to drive some ACV, put my name on the line. What made you make that decision?
Super easy, simple answer. First, it's your commitment, your willingness to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And number two, you sort of quench that thirst I have of being the builder in
Yeah.
having things come to life and making things happen. I'm telling you, man, people work with people. And when you lean in and you said you're going to do it and you started doing it and we worked it together, I mean, like there's no better gratification when you can partner together to really see things start to come together. And it's not about getting the opportunities. It's about building a relationship, building the brand, building the structure and the foundation to build from.
Yes. And the
So that's
engine.
why.
Yep. Yeah. And that's really what we got to do is build a system.
Yep.
How do we, because getting one win, two wins, that's great. But how do we systematically put this in place? And like I said, what we built together, Lisa, you, and that's scaling, and yeah, I love that advice. And on these Glide chats, we always try to give advice to other people trying to grow into leadership, get to the next level. What's some advice you can offer to some of them?
All right. So first of all, I would say listen to your inner champion and not your inner critic. That's not original. That was game changing for me when I was at my prior company and then coming over to ServiceNow. I instead of questioning things, I just did it. Yeah. And that was with your gut. Super important. It's a game changer. I'd also say raise your hand. Get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. Try something new. It's super important. But one of the bigger pieces too is make a declaration in terms of what you want to do. And you don't have to have the specifics, but declare it. I'm interested in people leader. I want to be a people leader. I want to go into this. I think it's super important in any role, especially when you're starting new and you're in the interview process or you're having that first meeting with your new boss. Have a vision, have a direction. I think that's super important. And I would say the last thing is, you don't have to have a plan, but I always say, put yourself on a page. right? If you had to have one piece of leave behind information, brag about yourself a little bit. Put together a slide or one page that you can leave behind conversations. It makes such a difference.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about, making a statement about where you want to be, because like people around you want to help you. First of all, your brain, you don't know it, but your brain's working to achieve what your goals are, right? Your brain is working to solve the problems that are in front of you, whether you're doing it consciously or not. So, having a mission and having a goal and having a direction is super important. But I think like the people you work with, the people around you want to help you, right? If as long as you're a good person helping them, right? So, going to your boss and saying, "Hey, this is direction I think I want to go in. This is direction I want to try out. This is, these are some of the goals I have." That's only going to help you achieve them, right? And you know what? You may get to the end of the road, or you may get to a checkpoint and say, "You know what? This isn't for me," but that's okay. I mean, how many times did you pivot in your career and your life of like, okay, maybe that, you hear about with people in college, like, I picked the wrong major. I got a business degree, and you know what I mean? But you know what? That's part of the journey. And
Yeah.
if you just stayed stagnant, you're not going to get anywhere. So it's okay to go, to end up in a different place than you thought you would, but that's part of the journey, and having goals and trying things. That's what life's all about.
Yeah, and I got two comments to that. One is, Mike, I did this before. Like, I had an interest in this one role, and do a ride along with people. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And it sounds crazy. I've done that, and I did it, and for a day and a half. I traveled to become a regional manager, and I was like, nope, I don't want to do that. But it was super helpful. But the other thing too is, the second comment is what you just said, is that I'm going to relate it back to the inner champion and that inner critic. Like, the inner champion is, you could go to your boss and be like, well, maybe I'm not going to say anything because I'm not quite ready. No, you're always ready, right? You're always ready to raise your hand and learn. And people are there to help you. I think you summed that up very well. I just think sometimes people are more focused on, well, do I really have it or not? Yes, you do. Go for it. It can only help you grow.
Exactly. And mistakes happen. It's, I was just talking to somebody else, and it's like, hey, it's okay. If you make a mistake, it's okay. It was like, try not to make it again, like that's the key. Like, one mistake's okay. It's like, let's try not to repeat it. That's a win, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I always tell people too, I mean, since you're on that topic, I really love sharing this. Again, my journey is different than everybody's. But your stakeholders, like, who's in your corner, make sure you know who they are, right? And I'd actually map it out. I mean, all this stuff we're talking about for career development and stuff like that, it's something, I even take notes throughout the year of things that I've done and how I've affected and influenced and helped other people, so that I can take a reflection back at the end of the year, and then it helps me set goals for the following year.
That's awesome. All right, Mike, thank you for joining me on an episode of GlideChat, and thank you for the partnership. Like I said, thank you for believing in us and giving us an opportunity to work together. And it's really a pleasure. And GlideFast is better because of your leadership.
I appreciate that. It's been great to be here. Thanks again for inviting me, Mike, and the GlideFast team. We'll talk next time.
Let's go.